defending, I think, and like.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. By now, you need no introduction. Me and Mo have done quite a few of these shows, but nonetheless, I've got Mo in the building. You know who he is and whatnot. We're here. He hasn't got too long. He's got to be somewhere, so we've got 30 minutes or so. So I'm gonna kind of be running through this quickly, people. Mo, how you doing, man? How you doing on this Friday?
I'm good, man. I'm happy because you know why? We're talking on the eve of our first Premier League win of the season.
Let's touch everything. Pray. You know, the beautiful thing about football, everyone has different religions and different faiths. Whatever religion you lot follow, pray, people, pray for Arsenal, because I think God's deserted us a long time ago. But hopefully it is a victory for us, man.
It's got to be, right? I mean, look, you know, I get people that are going to watch this and they'll be thinking, I'm going to clip this. You know, if you're wrong, I'm going to clip this.
They'll be on to us.
But come on, man, we're at home. We're against the second worst team in the league. I wouldn't say 20th is a true reflection of our squad. We have to believe as Arsenal fans that we're going to beat Norwich at home, because if we don't believe it, then I don't know where I stand anymore with anything.
I mean, you set me up perfectly. Yeah, I agree 100%. And you set it up perfectly. Let's jump straight in. I was going to do this last, but Arsenal, Norwich, where you at? In fact, just before that, where you at with Mikel Arteta? Because, I mean, we just spoke about it off air. If he doesn't win, I don't know if he'll get sacked, but we don't know the charted waters we're now stepping into without beating Norwich. As you said, second worst team in the Prem, arguably.
You know what? It's interesting you say, where am I with Arteta? Actually, do you know what? It doesn't matter. I think everyone now has to, because we're forced to. I'm not saying that this is what he deserves, but I think all of us have to just wipe the slate clean to an extent. I'm not saying forget about what's gone on before, but two interesting things. Transfer window's now done. They're the biggest spenders in the league, so there's no excuses there. They cannot say they haven't been backed. And on top of that, did you read some of his own statements recently in his press conference? He said, now we have the tools to compete. He said that himself.
He's opened himself up.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I thought, brilliant. At least this is what I complained about. And I know we're going to talk about this as well, DG, about Edu's interview. But this is what Edu didn't do. He didn't open himself up to have any accountability. And when I heard Arteta say that, I thought, well, good on you, because you now have said yourself that now we have the tools. And if you're not going to do it with the tools that you yourself have bought, then a workman can't blame anything else, can he? So,
I mean, when you put it like that, exactly, a true tradesman can't blame his tools. From what you hear, you know, whether we agree with the outlay or the personnel we brought in, he wanted all these players. You've got it. Now make it work. What's your feelings going into the Norwich game? Because for me, I think, again, Norwich, they've just been promoted. They're probably all buzzing as a club. With us, it's very pessimistic. Personally, I'm keen to see if we concede that first goal, how we react. I'm also quite thankful that we're not playing at Carrow Road, because I wouldn't give us a snowball's chance, if I'm honest with you. So where are you at in that regard?
Yeah, I really agree with what you just said there, you know, in terms of Carrow Road, because it's weird. I'm like very polarized. If we were at Carrow Road, I'd be really scared. But I feel really good about the game. I feel really, really confident. Partly because, you know, from the start of the season, like I'm getting back a month, I was looking at the fixtures saying, first three are going to be tough. Maximum 3 points out of the first three is what I was saying. And maybe one was my guess. You know, it turned out to be even worse than that. But this is what I always, in my mind, I'd always prepared for as our first win of the season. So I almost kind of feel like I was semi-right about Brentford. I said we're not going to win. I was right on the scoreline about Chelsea. So I was bang on about that. And with Man City, I said 3-0. It didn't legislate for a red card. As soon as a red card happened, I was like, yeah, this could be about 5. So I kind of feel like I was bang on about that as well. So I kind of feel like everything that was in my head has played out. And
what's the lottery numbers, man?
But the thing is, in my head, we go and beat Norwich with consummate ease. So I just feel like there's just this real expectation there. And then that's been aided by the fact that we've got that right back now who's got the work permit. We've got Gabriel back. We've got Ben White back. You know, we've got even Thomas Partey back in training. Don't know whether he'll play or not, but it all seems just really well set up. You know, there's no real fresh injury concerns. El Nenny's out. You know, fine, we can accommodate that. So I feel really, really positive, really, really confident. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Honestly, and yeah, I know I'm going to look like a right mug if.
Nah, man, don't ever say that. You're allowed to be positive about your club.
Exactly. So Yeah, that's how I see it going, man. I don't know about you. Do you share my confidence? I think we'll keep a clean sheet, and I think we'll get 2 or 3 goals.
I want to, but it's for me. These lot have fractured me so much. It doesn't matter if it's Norwich or Man City. It's that same old, bro. In that you don't know what Arsenal you're gonna get. Now, I want to be wary of saying the word expect, but I expect a reaction. You've had a week off now. The majority of you haven't gone to international break. You've had a week to concede where you're at, to forgive yourself, as you said, for the previous 3 games. For me to just sit there and accept your 20th, and now you can either feel sorry for yourself or we try and move forward. And I want it to happen against Norwich. The thing that scares me is it doesn't matter if it's Norwich or City, everybody fancies Arsenal. Now, we either say, hang on a minute, we're not going to be that team anymore, or we accept it. And for me, it's the first goal. I want to score the first goal. If we concede the first goal, I actually think we'll win 2-1. We'll concede the first goal and turn it around. I'm keen to see the mentality. I don't know if there's any real pressure on Arteta away from us externally, because, we'll get onto it. But Edu kind of made out that, okay, let's wait till everyone's fit, give time to gel. So I don't know if there is any immediate pressure, but that's where I'm at with Norwich. And they play good football, and our midfield's quite open. And, Arsenal, we need everything to be perfect under this manager to put in a half decent result. So I'm scared come 3 p.m., but hopefully my fears can be put to bed with a decent performance, bro.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting because as I'm saying, this is how the season's played out. What was in my head, it's just happened. And for that reason, I feel like it's going to end in a win because that's how it's played out in my head. But I know that when I get to that stadium, like when I'm walking up there, and then it kind of starts to dawn on me just how bad things will be if we, never mind
I know
defeat.
exactly how
I'm
you're
saying
feeling.
if we don't win, then when you're there, you start to think, you get in your thoughts a little bit. And then I'll start getting a little bit nervous because even like when we're the underdogs, I always say, like, you never know what's going to happen in football. A goalkeeper can get sent off and give away a penalty in the first 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden the game's in your favor.
Flipped on its
So
head, yeah.
yeah, but that can also happen when you're the favourites, right? So if that happens for Norwich, and it's things like that that get in my head, and I kind of think, well, actually, yeah, there's never any guarantees. And the truth is, DG, I've learned over many, many years going to watch Arsenal, especially, yeah, if someone offers me a 1-0 win, a boring crap 1-0 win by virtue of an own goal, I will take it.
Take it
That's
every day.
never, ever been truer than the way Arsenal are playing right now. We are so desperate for 3 points. I don't care how it comes. I'll take anything for 3 points.
Facts, like you said. I mean, we all want a perfect performance, a convincing win. But as you said, when you haven't got a point, when you haven't got food in your fridge, any meal will be decent for you. So I think we just need to win. I do feel if there's a convincing win, I won't say I'll take the pressure, but it'll just make fans feel good. And for me, it's about winning now because you've got Spurs now. We need to build momentum. I believe if we're serious, 6 to 7 points minimum, you should be targeting 9, whether you can get that or not. The games aren't coming any easier. If you can't beat Norwich, I don't see how we beat Burnley, purely because set pieces, a very naive side against a street smart side. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out what happens. So for me, I don't want to say our season starts now. I find all of that sort of cringy, but for want of better phrases, our season has to start now. People need to stand up to be counted. Where do you feel about Arteta? Because there's one thing I wanted to ask you. He keeps, like, even, I don't know if you've seen his press conference, but it's like he will say things like, I don't know how it makes sense, but he said something along the lines of, I don't want to say excuses or make any excuses. And then shortly after that, he lists every excuse, like we've had COVID, players are not fit. Do you feel like it just feels like he's not a football manager, and that you're never going to have the perfect environment? It's like he wants every variable to, the sun to just be shining, and that's not how it works.
It's funny, like, that whole, when you start a sentence with, I don't want to make excuses. It's like when people say, look, I'm not being racist. There's a but. I'm not being racist, but, and then something racist follows. And it's like, and as soon as someone starts a sentence saying, I'm not making excuses, you're like, all right, go on, now I'm hearing the excuse.
Now I hear bagging them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It's representative of the culture that you can glean that's going on inside the club. Because with Edu, he's talking about what he wants from this season, and he's not willing to commit to anything. He's talking about wanting perfect circumstances, just seeing everyone playing together and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, what was your contingency? What if that doesn't happen? Then what? And same with Arteta, not making excuses, but, and like, as you say, you've got to be pragmatic. Before you just said you don't want to say our season starts now, but it has to start now. So you're not making excuses, but you're saying, well, that's just a pragmatic way of looking at things, that it has to start now because here's where we are. I would like Arsenal to be more like that. I'd like the manager and the technical director to be more like that. where just be pragmatic about things. It's very rare that you have a fully fit squad.
Facts.
I understand the excuses coming into play if you suffer like Liverpool did last year, where
Mm.
it's like, my God, you're being kicked when you're down,
Yeah,
like
you really got
really
a short
insult.
hand there. Yeah.
Yeah, in like that one position being relentlessly cursed, But with Arsenal, I'm sorry, no, you can't have that excuse. And also, we've added so much to the squad now, more than any other team. Not only have we spent more, but we've added numbers as well as, spending the actual pounds and pence. So I don't want to hear that anymore. That's
Trust me.
part of squad management. And when you're a good manager and you can maintain a happy squad like Pep Guardiola somehow does with all of the riches at his disposal,
Yeah.
instead of exiling players and then shrinking your squad, well, then, it
So
makes it
much truth
easier.
being said right now from you,
Yeah.
man. It's facts on that.
Yeah. So no more excuses, please. This is, as you said, DG, this is where it has to start. And now this is where I'm saying, listen, I mean, if you can't do it now, then forget it.
Forget it. Let me ask you on this just before we get into this Edu stuff. You mentioned him being non-committal, and I agree 100%. Now, I have probably taken a bit of his things that he said out of context, but he said something along the lines of when pressed by Jeff Shreves, who did a good job in my opinion. He said something like, "I don't want to talk about top 4, top 6, top 8, or top 10." Now, I didn't necessarily disagree when you see the whole context of what he's saying, but when you take that for what it is. Do you feel there's a collective goal then, apart from probably just gelling these boys together and things like, are we trying to get back in Europe? And if that isn't the case, what is our goals? And do you think that complacency is creeping into the gaffer, the whole club, and ultimately the players? Because there's been a lack of urgency among everything in these last 3 games, considering last season.
I find it shocking that, a club like Arsenal, you can almost kind of invalidate a whole season by saying that,
Trust me.
I just want to see the players playing together. That is not what we want to see as fans. That is not, if
100%.
honestly, if the club wrote to me at the start of the season and said, "Hi, Mr. Haider, please renew your season ticket. We just want you to see the players playing together," I'd be like, "Well, how about you get lost and I'll buy a
Shove it.
training session season ticket. I can go and see them playing together in training
Man
and
said
pay like a
crazy.
tenth of the price." I'm sorry, this is competitive football. It's not about just seeing people play together, for God's sake. That's
Facts.
really annoying to me. We do not pay the money. Arsenal Tottenham coming up, £90 plus tickets people are
Trust me.
paying there. And that's not even corporate seats or club level
That's
or
a
anything.
standard seat.
Yeah, man, you do not pay that money to just see people playing together. For Edu to say that, I found really annoying. I found it hard to digest. My club has to have more ambition than that. And, in the past, when I've spoken about the role that people like Edu do, the technical director and that sort of thing, they're the hardest roles in football to measure, because even a CEO, let's say Vinay, right? You can measure the commercial sponsors, even if you don't know like the actual values. You can see how many commercial partners a club has got. You can go on the website and see
Mm.
that. So we can compare Arsenal to their peers. We can go and say Liverpool have added this many, or Man United have done this many. Arsenal have only got this many, and you can even hold them to some sort of account, right?
Accountable, yeah.
But and even the managers, the players, the defenders, the goalkeepers, the strikers, you can look at the stats: pass completion, goals scored, clean sheets, this, that, the other, manager, the final league position. With the technical director, it's very hard for us to come up with criteria to judge him on. Because
100%.
a lot of it's subjective. Like he can turn around and say, "Well, I spent 150 million pounds," and he could try and claim that's a good job. But we might turn around and say, "Well, no, actually, no, it's not money well spent," or whatever. And it becomes very subjective.
Mm.
For him to refuse to aim for anything, I felt like was cowardly, and I felt like he was vacating his responsibility to be held to account in his
Mm.
position. And I
Mm.
didn't like that. I wanted him to be brave, and I wanted him to sort of like empower people to say, "You can hold me to this account."
Mm.
And the fact that he didn't do that, I found very, very annoying. And that was my biggest issue with it. And I think that reflects really badly on the club. And if that's a reflection of the culture internally, then there is no pressure, is there?
Facts.
So that's why I was a little bit glad that maybe Arteta came out and said, now we've got all the tools, and he wasn't necessarily making the excuses. But I would have at least liked Edu to say, in terms of what are we aiming for, we hope we'll be, aiming to qualify for a European competition by winning one of the domestic cups, at
Mm.
least. If he said like, we're not in Europe, we've had a very tough start to the league campaign, we're really, really going to try and add to our illustrious history in the FA Cup, I'd say, all right, do you know what? You've
Get
said
behind that.
something. Yeah, I can get behind that. Exactly.
And that's what annoys me. It's like I'm not expecting you to come out and say we want to win the league, which we can't, top four, etc. But there's a smart way in saying things. Even if he said, for me, I was looking for something along the lines of a team like Arsenal should always be in Europe. You've indirectly said anytime we're not in Europe, that's what we're doing, and you haven't been committal. If I play devil's advocate with you now, obviously things have come back to bite people on the bum. Quite frankly, trust the process. All of these statements that fans poke them with. To play devil's advocate, could Edu have had that in mind and he thought, you know what, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver? Because I'm for what it's worth, I agree with you. I think it was cowardly. I think when you watch his interview, he did look a bit scared, maybe even overruled, maybe not even prepared for that level of scale. But could it be, you know what, I've learned from my other mistakes? What was it? Raul Sanye said something about the knock is different and things. These slogans that come back to hit people.
Be excited.
Yeah.
The Bayern
How can I
Munich.
forget that one?
Yeah, about competing with Bayern Munich. But a lot of these other ones, right? The key difference here is that when Ivan Gazidis said we want to be competing with Bayern Munich, that Arsenal weren't like owned by one individual then, and there were other requirements that existed then that don't exist now in terms of having that consultation with fans and annual AGMs and that sort of thing. Now, I can't remember 100%, but I think that statement came out of something like that, or even like, let's say, the financial statements or whatever it might have been. This one was completely optional. Edu did not have to do it. So that excuse to me doesn't apply. If you don't have to do something, don't do it unless you're going to do a brilliant job of it. So if you're putting yourself out there to do a job and you do a crap job, I'm sorry, you deserve all the stick that you're going to get. And that's why I feel like it's unforgivable that he optionally came out and did such a cowardly interview. You have to come out and realize that the history and the expectation at a institution with the size and the history of Arsenal Football Club carries expectation. If you can't take that expectation and survive and swim rather than sink,
drowning
then
in that,
like Thierry Henry said, the cannon is too heavy for you, and you should be in a different role. Go work in like the sort of, I don't know,
be an ambassador. Just go and go in the community and do Arsenal in the community work. I'm sure there's a role for any quote unquote player.
You go volunteer at a creche,
Literally. That's why, in fact, it probably is. That's what Arsenal are at this
moment.
Do you know what?
Oh God, why did I say that? It's so true.
That's actually what I get from us. It's just a creche. It's like everyone's parents pays their sub, so everybody needs to get a game and whatnot. What was I going to ask?
It's so true. Do you know what? On that creche analogy, it literally is that. It's the taking part that counts. That's what Edu was doing when he was saying, I won't commit to even a top half finish. We won't even commit to 10th. It's about taking part. That's what he said this year, effectively. That's what you tell kids at creche.
Facts. It's about it doesn't matter if you finish 8th or first. It's just as long as you taken part, which isn't necessarily wrong. But again, it's breeding losers. It's breeding, it's not the right mentality to have. Who do you blame if it goes wrong? Because obviously Arteta's the one in the firing line. But I don't, like you said, and you touched on it indirectly. It is quite difficult to quantify, Eddie, because on one hand, if you're a technical director, I wouldn't necessarily want you to overrule the manager, but my job is on the line. If we're bringing in, pardon my language, rubbish players, then people are going to look at me. But then when I look at it, I could also say, not that you've done a good job, but if the manager has asked for Odegaard and you've brought him Odegaard, he's asked for Ben White, Ramsdale, etc., and he's got it, like he said, Arteta said, we've got the tools. Can I really blame Edu? Is it really right? Who am I more blameful on? I think we all know, as long as whoever owns this club, they're here, it's going to be a certain standard of football. So where are you at with that?
For me, with Edu, I do think he has to take some blame. In terms of getting players out of the club, it's been awful as far as I'm concerned. And even in terms of how we've spent the funds, I'm not happy. He can still get the players, but he can have some lateral thinking. And this is my issue with with Edu. So, for example, Ramsdale, I've got nothing against Ramsdale. I always have to kind of caveat this. With Ramsdale, that for me should have been an obligation to buy. So we should have loaned him with an obligation to buy. That frees up more funds for the first team this year in positions that can contribute to the first team rather than having £24 million on the bench. Because we finished 8th last year. We need to increase that.
Players here for now.
Exactly. And you're not going to finish higher than what you did last year by having a reserve keeper on the bench, who's not getting game time. So little things like that, lateral thinking, I think could have been a lot more beneficial. So I just find that frustrating. Even you could have offset. So right now we've got Nketiah sitting on the bench next to Ramsdale. Well, actually, Nketiah could have gone to Brighton to
No, you're right. He could
Brighton.
have went to Brighton. He agreed a fee with Palace, and then
Yeah,
personal terms messed it up. Doing it, leaving it too little, too late. You're right.
yeah, saved a bit of money on the Ben White deal and that sort of thing. And I think that he could have done more. So I do think he is accountable. But I think, in terms of who's truly accountable, the most obvious one is Arteta for me, because all things considered, with the awful owners and a technical director that hasn't used the resources very well, I still think that given what Arteta has had at his disposal, he has underperformed. And I
Facts.
think another manager who comes in could have got more out of those players. I last year was saying I think that's undeniable, and I challenge anyone to argue with me right now
Nah, man, you
because
can't challenge it. Anyone that's looking at Arsenal can see that. And I think, I don't know how you feel, but it just feels, I've never met someone, or I haven't met Arteta, but I've never come across a manager that when he wins, there's a lot of praise. That's cool. But when you lose, you need to take the rough with the smooth. It's like every luxury is placed on other parties apart from Mikel Arteta. Even now, where, like you said, evidently he's taking us 8th to 8th. I think everyone can concede the other dynamics at play at Arsenal, but it doesn't make sense. And, when I hear things like he needs time in isolation, that makes sense. But when you apply context, just because you've got an exam in May doesn't mean you don't need to start revising in August or whatever.
yeah,
If you start the last week in April, you're not going to get the grades
yeah.
you want. So I don't really understand it. I think time's kind of run out. Arguably, he should be on borrowed time after November. Any other manager doesn't make that.
And as you were saying about the next 3 games, 7 or 9 points, we should be aiming for 9 for sure. But what I would say is that I think he will be okay if, for example, he beats Norwich. If we lose to Burnley, he has to follow it up with a victory at Tottenham, against Tottenham. Sorry. So if we get 6 out of 9, one of those has to be one of those wins has to be Tottenham. We can't do win-win lose, and lose against Tottenham, because that's a home game, and it just shows that we'll just be a flat track bully team, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it needs to really be minimum 7 points. So if we win-win draw, that's fair enough, but we absolutely need to get a result against Tottenham, get a win against Tottenham if we don't win the both games prior to that. But for me, the next 3 games determine his future. But DJ, I wanted to ask you a question,
Go
right?
on, go
Because
on.
I was doing a stream on the Arsenal Lounge, and in that we kind of had like an epiphany moment where I was talking about, how sometimes with captaincy you get this in cricket a lot, but even a lot of people have said this about Aubameyang, where they say remove the captaincy for a player, allowing him to focus on what they do best. Yeah. So take away the other burdens from them. Now, when I look at Arteta, when he first came in, when you look at some clips and you consider how we played against Man City and Chelsea and FA Cup and that sort of thing, and you look at it and you think, actually, he got us playing. He got us playing decent football. And when he came in, we were awful. I think we'd only won 1 in 10,
It
or
was terrible. He looked like a
yeah.
messiah at a point. Agreed.
At some point, he did, yeah. And then now it's obviously all gone wrong. And then I think to myself, well, what other factors coincide with when he was doing well and when kind of the tide turned, he's doing badly? And actually, it was his random promotion after about 8 or 9 months in the role from head coach to manager. And I think to myself, hold on a second.
Rewarding for nothing.
Yeah,
Facts.
I actually I'm planning, if I can be bothered to do a video on my channel and do an analysis of his
People,
performance,
make
his
sure
win.
Moh does this. Don't let him just throw it out there. Make sure he does it. I want to watch that.
But I think it'll be really interesting. How did Arteta fare as a head coach? How did Arteta fare as a manager? And I think there's been a huge drop off. We even brought up quotes. I quoted Pochettino when he was saying, he did a press conference where he said, "I think they should change my job title from manager to head coach because I've got no influence over transfers." He was proving a point, but actually wanted the job title to reflect his role. Tuchel, he
I was
came
just
in.
about to say him. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
something like that as well, innit?
And yeah, he said it's been brilliant because I don't have to worry about anything else. I can just focus on transfers. Sorry, I just focus on coaching. And he said this about Chelsea, and look what he did with Chelsea last season. And I just
Facts.
think to myself, when people say, what should we change at Arsenal? I know it's a very difficult thing to go and sack a manager, but I think just like that, they should turn around and say to Arteta, look, let's do this. Let's give this a go because clearly things aren't working. And if I was in charge, that's the first thing I'd be doing. I'm saying, before I sack you, I'm going to do this. And, you just focus on your coaching. Now, herein lies a problem. And this is the 2 questions that I've got for you.
Go on.
Is Edu above Arteta in the pecking order at Arsenal? Does he even have that right? Because with that promotion, is it clear to you? Do you have some sort of idea about who answers to who, or is it a level playing field? I think we can probably safely say Edu doesn't answer to Arteta, but I don't think we can say that Arteta answers to Edu, meaning
Mm.
that yes, Arteta's not above Edu, but potentially they're both at the same level. So I guess two questions are: do you agree with maybe a demotion for Arteta from manager to head coach to see if that can reinvigorate him, and also put a bit of pressure onto him, like prove yourself again, and also who tells who what to do?
In relation to the first half of the question, it's something I could explore personally. I think it's, I'm past the stage of the job title because I can't imagine he wasn't, how he went from head coach to manager. At the time, it came across like he was doing more and being given more thingies anyways, and they've just rewarded that with a title. And obviously with the FA Cup, they further got into bed with him. So I would get it. Like you said, it might make him think, okay, cool, I need to wake up. It's not quite a cozy gig as I thought. So I'm open to trying that. In relation to your second question, that's something I've said on my channel I can't really see, because on one hand you would think in the structure the technical director is above the gaffer, because the technical director, if something goes wrong with the manager, he should have something to say. But I just get the vibe of you've got two brothers, one's an older brother, one's a little brother, and it's just whoever runs to their parents, the parents being Kroenke first, whoever wins. I have to assume Arteta's got more responsibility, because it's like he's vetoed things. It's like he wanted Ramsdale. I'm sure, you saw in The Athletic, I'm sure you've read it. Apparently, Edu wanted Neto. Now, for what it's worth, I don't know if that's the better signing, but that's something he's overruled him with. If I go back to last season, it then models things up, because apparently, we wanted Aouar, Arteta wanted Aouar, and he wanted Partey. So I'm not too sure. Personally, I would say Arteta, because I feel both won't get sacked at the same time. I just feel the club will get rid of Edu first. And this is where I want to see if that relationship, how good it is really, because they might say, well, like you said, we've made him a manager. He probably is going to get a new contract if things carry on. Internally at the club, clearly they're still of the belief that he's got credit in the bank, he's got time, etc. So I think Arteta is... they've betted on Arteta. I think Edu's more disposable, if anything. I think he's gone, really. So I'd say, to answer your question, I think Arteta's got the most responsibility, because you look at half of the team. Xhaka isn't getting a new deal unless he's up for it, really and truly. That whole team is a reflection on Arteta. It's not a situation where you see at some clubs where the manager's just brought in some bewildering players and you can tell the technical director's on another thing. I think Edu's job is just basically being a puppet. So I'd say Arteta
Wow.
can overrule him personally. Can't lie to you.
So you actually think that Arteta ranks higher in that
I think so. I
internal
actually
structure? Wow,
genuinely think so. I genuinely think so,
amazing.
bro. It shouldn't. It should, for me, I want the technical director. If anything, I would love Edu to overrule Arteta. Like, just for instance, like you said, Ramsdale's not a bad player, but we could have maybe done other things. Maybe a more experienced technical director says, you know what? We're not doing that. We're doing something else, because I don't get the vibe that even Edu's job's on the line, because technical director, whatever happens on the field is a direct consequence of you as well as the manager. Yeah, he's working with you lot in training, with the players in training, but every signing, if I'm technical director, every signing said something about me or my legacy. Now, fair enough, if you want to do this young player thing, make it work. Personally, I'm not liking the excuse that they come with, because I'm sure you've seen it yourself. Teams have bought several players, they play them, and then they say they need time to gel and whatnot. So we haven't even got to that stage yet, because not everybody's fit. I don't know if he's going to have the balls to play Ramsdale ahead of Leno, to throw Ben White in there. I don't know how Odegaard thrives, because we don't want to put a ball in an opposition's back of the net. So I would go as far as I think Arteta is Arteta or bust. I think if it comes to it, he's gone. I mean, Edu's gone.
Do you know what I'm really curious about the point about the demotion, right? I'd love to know what other people think, because one thing I criticize Arteta for is his man management. I think he lacks emotional
Facts.
intelligence. Yeah, I feel like
100%.
he struggles. Like what someone like Jurgen Klopp, it's so clearly, evidently effortless that he gets people on his side, loyal to him, playing for him. Even Mourinho, when you have that Mourinho honeymoon period, it's the greatest honeymoon in the world, isn't it? It's lovely.
Yeah. Look at
And
Spurs at the start. Yeah. Beautiful
yeah,
man.
players love him at the
Even
start, and
Roma.
then his true colours come out. Lovely honeymoon, then he's an abusive husband, and people realise that, and they hate
Not
him.
really there.
But the thing is with Arteta, so on one hand, I can't criticise his emotional intelligence and then have a complete lack of it myself, because clearly there'll be an emotional reaction if you demote him. It will
Yeah.
be humiliating for him, it will be embarrassing for him, it might undermine his stature in front of the players. With all of that in mind, do people in the comments, I'd love to know, think it's a potentially a good sort of way to ruffle the feathers a little bit, or just to breathe a bit more life into Arsenal or into Arteta at the moment and say, okay, you're just focusing on coaching, you're just focusing on the training ground, the tactics, this, that, the other, all the business, the administration, transfers, that sort of side of it, we'll take care of.
I
So
agree, man.
I want to know what people think as well, because that's what I'm trying to put that balance in there, trying to put the counter argument of why not to do it, the emotional intelligence
Mm.
piece. But for me personally, my conclusion is I would do it. I think Arteta has not done enough as he, in that manager position. And as you say, maybe I just do need to do that video and put the
You need
facts
to
there.
do it. You need to do it. I want to hear it. And for me, it's about one thing I don't really like about Arteta. And like I said, I got to be fair, as you said, I'm not at the training ground, but delegation. You need, Ferguson, a great example of that. You need to have trust. Obviously, he does, but you need to have trust in your coaching staff. As a manager, as you said, there's several roles. You can't work on the tactical from a collective, work on individual players. Think about the opposition, deal with transfers, this guy's contract, these problems. You need to be able to delegate. And I think I did a live stream with Curtis Shaw, and he said maybe Arteta is just better when he has less responsibility, because
Yeah.
we've never seen him in a managerial position. I just think he struggles with delegation and whatnot. That's why we don't really see players individually improve. Collective, we haven't seen anything. He just strikes me as someone that just wants to do everything by myself. And you clearly can't do that as a manager, because there's clearly something wrong. Maybe your tactics are spot on, and maybe it's just a communicational thing. But for something's not happening. I mean, everyone talks about Pep Guardiola, but when you read his books and see his stuff, he values his coaching staff. He has coaching staff that will sit there and tell him, like he said, I've planned stuff for a week. My other coach will sit there and tell me that's BS. It's not going to work. Does Arteta have that? I don't know. I assume so, but I don't think he looks at things from a different perspective. And you said a great point. I do think he lacks emotional intelligence. I think he lacks a lot of empathy. I don't know why it is, because he's played under Wenger. It's almost like he doesn't understand players from a human element. Now, when I hear the players talk, they seem to counteract that, but to a degree, they're always going to say that. How you treat Pepe might be different to Aubameyang. And I just feel as well, coupled with that, these non-negotiables, it might, he might like you and hate me. So the non-negotiables might not apply to you. And I only get one game and I play poorly. So I think it's the delegation as well at this club is just poor, specifically with Arteta.
But again, it's one of the things we spoke about this last time about egos in a dressing room. When a manager comes in with a reputation, you think to yourself, okay, yeah, I'll listen to him. When Arteta comes in, all due respect, he hasn't achieved anything as a manager. And as a result of that, when you're sort of when Arteta, who was an inferior player to Mesut Ozil, is coming in as a manager with no achievements and then kind of exiling Mesut Ozil, I think that
And
does
being
raise some
radical as
eyebrows.
well with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I do think it does raise some eyebrows. And I kind of feel like he doesn't understand the softer side that we're kind of talking about here. But then on the other hand, I'm asking the question, should, talking about emotional intelligence, other people, I've just seen one comment in there saying that it needs to be done in terms of demotion and also the captaincy too. If Arsenal were truly, truly ruthless, we would just do these things. We wouldn't say like, oh, how is someone going to feel about it? We'd just say, look, Tierney's the obvious leader, just do it. And Arteta, better as a head coach, just do it. Ultimately, as a head coach, that's the natural progression. He's gone from a coach of Pep Guardiola to head coach. On what basis?
On
After
what basis? And then to
eight
management.
months, did he go to manager? That to me is
It says a
really,
lot
really
about
quite
our club
strange.
for me, man. It says a lot about our club, because for me, I think the club had a lot of arrogance with that FA Cup win to assume that, a lot of the things that we need to improve were done, and now we can focus on the other things. And I think it led for complacency. A serious club says, oh, wow, it feels good to win the FA Cup. Imagine it feels to win better things and get back into Europe and just achieve goals. I think there was a laxity. And then obviously, that new managerial effect, it must have wore off. At a point, the players might have been wowed. Everyone's got a point to prove. We're putting in results, and we still have won against some decent teams under him. But it's like there's an element of unknown. Nobody knows what you're about. Like us, we probably assumed just because he was at Pep, we're going to see forward-thinking football. Just because he played under Wenger, that we was going to see some element of passing the ball forward. We don't actually know to be here for 2 years. We don't know what he's like. He might be worse than Big Sam. He might just be he tried to make us cross the ball to Williams, so it might be. But there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I just feel it's a laxed approach. And the thing that scares me is I actually think he's going to be a good manager. But as I said when you was here before, whether he's going to be a good manager for us or someone else is two different things. I don't want him to make all his mistakes in vain. And then he says, all right, Pep's gone, go back to City, more expenses, do what he's doing. What are we trying to do here? Because we've done that with players. We've hold on to players' hands, and when they start looking decent, they're gone. I don't want to do this with a gaffer, because I can't fault him for taking the Arsenal job. He's probably learned a lot. He's had an apprenticeship where he's had to fail hard and fast, and in 10 years, he might learn from this when he's in another situation. You look at Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool. That's the thing that scares me, is that I don't think there's that healthy pressure. You mentioned Thomas Tuchel. Every decision he makes, he needs to answer it. You know, all the radical formations he does and stuff, fair enough, they're winning. But if he loses, someone's going to tap him on the shoulder and say what's going on. Is it Edu? As we said, or as I said, I think he's bigger than Edu at this club. So Edu can't really tell you anything. Stan Kroenke seems to be anonymous. I know there's Tim Lewis and all of these things, but again, Arteta is their guy. And at least for now, he's getting the squad. So I don't know how things change. And I don't think there should be too much pressure on him, but a lot of pressure helps us. You know, if there's no pressure on any of us in life, we get complacent and ultimately we become stale and mediocre, kind of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
crazy.
do you know what? I love the fact that you said that you think Arteta could be a good manager, but maybe just not at Arsenal, because I agree with you. Basically, different situations, different environments suit different people. So there'll be
Yeah,
some players, for example, that in lower league, they'd be nowhere near as good as a more average player. I'd rather have,
facts.
let's say, for example, James Milner in lower leagues than I would maybe a Santi Cazorla, which sounds crazy because obviously who's the better player? But
Yeah,
James Milner
it's the
probably
environment.
would. Yeah, exactly. It'd probably suit that environment a little bit more. So then we look at someone like Pep Guardiola versus Jurgen Klopp. I think Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world, but I'd probably rather have Jurgen Klopp in lower league in terms of playing that rock and roll football, getting people G'd up. But I think
Maximizing what you've got. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. Whilst Pep Guardiola, I think he's the better manager with unlimited money, for
elite
example,
talent
because
and the limited money. Yeah,
yeah, when you can perfect his very, very finely tuned system, it's like an F1 car, isn't it? And he
yeah,
needs
yeah, yeah.
everything perfect, and the money allows him to do that. So, likewise with Arteta, I don't think he's necessarily the best manager for this club. I think that he
Mm.
needs different environment, different context, and we're yet to see exactly what that is for him, because ultimately he hasn't had a long enough track record for us to ascertain
To
exactly
really,
what it
yeah,
is that he needs. So, on that basis, I just think it's telling of the club, as you said, that after an FA Cup win, instead of kind of saying, "All right, that was nice, let's go on from this," they kind of thought, "Oh yeah, fixed, and
yeah,
let's reward him," and
with a better title.
with a promotion and stuff. Like, that's just very naive, and that shows the inexperience of the non-footballing staff,
Facts.
and it just mirrors the inexperience of the footballing staff, where we've got a lot of young players now in the team and inexperienced FC.
That's it. And then the thing is, you've got no one to tell them they're inexperienced. I mean, a couple of questions that are quite interesting. True said, which manager can be successful at Arsenal under KSC's self-sustaining model? Now, I think it is a bit of a poison chalice, because we've seen, we've Glazidez, Sanye, all of these guys have been there. Kroenke stayed. I do agree with what you said. A better manager, regardless, gets a bit more bang for his buck for one, and maximizes what he's doing. Regardless, there's no excuse for the bewildering tactical decisions and the lack of knowing what Arsenal is about. But do you think it's a poison chalice? Because we've tried the experience thing with Emre. I know the contexts are different. We've now gone for this young guy that can grow with the team and kind of reflects the players we've brought in. Is it a fallacy to expect anything really, as long as we've got this owner?
No, I mean, look, there's two questions here. If saying which manager can be successful at Arsenal under KSC's self-sustaining model, yeah, that may be hardly anyone actual successful, but who can be better? I'd say probably
Good way of
everyone.
asking.
So Thomas Tuchel, yes. Jurgen Klopp, yes. There's so many managers. Pochettino, yes. There's so many managers you can come up with that would probably be better than Mikel Arteta, because Mikel Arteta's just been awful.
At this
I
point,
don't.
I'm looking at Hasenhüttl and things, because he's had to work with bare
Yeah,
minimums at
yeah,
Southampton. Whether I believe he's the guy or not, it's just the mandate. It's like, I just feel Arteta is a bit of a spoiled child. It's like he's never had to work for anything in the real world.
yeah.
So it's almost like I can just buy another one. Daddy will buy me another one. I don't have to
Yeah.
value anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I feel like it's very easy to get an improvement, but in terms of true success, I think it's a very good question, and that's why we always mention the owners, because I don't see Arsenal truly being successful to the standard that we expect or want, with these cronkies in charge.
Facts, and you said it. And then basically, I won't read out the whole question, but it ties into what I wanted to ask you. obviously you're hearing Matt Letizia, where he's got this from, what contact he has in the club, I don't know, but apparently there's this harmony in the dressing room. What do you make of that? Now, personally, I'd expect that. You know, you're not playing well. I expect them to doubt the manager. I expect them to doubt themselves. What I don't like personally is the blame game. Blame each other, have it out. We're a family at the end of the day, but consider that, you know, we've all played a part. Nobody in that team, even though players we rate, can say they've 100% done well. So before you point a finger, look at yourself. But where are you at with that? And is that an excuse? And apparently it's not Arteta's fault, as the article said as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, there, isn't it? I'm skeptical as well. Where did he get it from? You know, but the thing is, with disharmony, it doesn't actually matter. Who was it? Two strikers for United. Was it Sheringham and Cole or something like that? They
They
hated
didn't
each
like
other.
each other. Yeah, they didn't
Yeah,
like each other.
yeah,
Bellamy
but
never liked his teammates either.
yeah, exactly. But you don't notice that. The thing is, you know, when you're playing football, you just make the right footballing decision. It becomes very
Right.
immature if kind of because you don't like each other in the dressing room that you're not playing the right passes and that sort of thing.
You ain't got
I
time for that in elite sport, man.
yeah, exactly. I'm a bit skeptical, and even let's say it does make a small difference to what happens on the pitch, not to the extent that we're seeing here. So
Fact.
I don't think
Yeah.
that in itself is enough of a material explanation for what we're seeing and where we find ourselves. I think it is down to the manager, to be honest with you. So it might be true. I'm slightly cynical based on the sources and that sort of thing, but it's not a sort of like, you know, I'm not thinking, oh well, if that was fixed then we'd be better. It's not that material.
I think it's a cop out because I know City, for obvious reasons, Manchester City, they have a golfing class, their players are better, but half of them want to leave. Half of them, you see rumors that, you know, apart from training them, Pep has a problem, you know, becoming friends with them and things. Maybe that's a negative trait Arteta had, but they still play. And I just think, regardless of any of that stuff, at the end of the day, you know, you go to work, you don't need to like anyone, but nobody likes failure. If you're involved in anything, you want to do the best. So it's just a cop out, in my
Yeah,
opinion. And what annoys me is, we see fight everywhere at this club apart from the pitch. If you're going to fight your brothers and sisters and your family members, fight some strangers, then show
yeah.
that same intensity and things like that,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. And as you say, you know, really good point that you made about the disharmony. Of course, there should be disharmony when you're bottom of the flipping league. You should not be going in and be happy and patting each other on the back. So yeah, harness that as professionals. Learn to harness that anger. You know, that's what I want to see from the players.
Facts. And I know you're pressed for time, so I'm going to ask you one last question. Is it Arteta or the fact that the squad isn't good enough to make top four? I don't think any manager could make top four, could make this team into the top four, considering, you know, everybody was so happy to tell us we was just only a couple of points off finishing in the top four when we finished 8th, and forgot that we were closer to 11th as well. Where are you at with that?
No, I think other managers could get Arsenal into top four, and I think that they. Let's understand this. What is a pass score for Arsenal? I'd say maybe sixth. You know, if Arsenal finish sixth, looking at our squad compared to other squads and that sort of thing, you'd probably say, okay, fair enough. And not that I'd be happy with it, but you'd say, yeah, there are 5 other teams with much better squads than us. So if a manager came in and got us top four, I would say that manager's overperformed. When Arteta
Fact.
gets us 8th, I say he's underperformed. And when Arteta is 20th, yeah, then I'm saying crisis. Now, so on that basis, I think, is there a man walking this earth that can come and get Arsenal to overperform and finish 4th? Yes, I do think so. You look at, you know, I always use Jurgen Klopp, and in a way I shouldn't, because he's kind of so exceptional. There's not fair to always use the best example out there to prove your point, but I'm going to use him one last time. When he goes and puts that level of pressure on Man City, where he's almost touching 100 points and that sort of thing, that is him overperforming. You know, I don't think that you can expect Liverpool to maintain that intensity throughout, or anyone would have expected them to do that. But it just goes to show that's him overperforming. Tuchel, when he joined Chelsea, he overperformed. You know, and I think equally Lampard underperformed. Chelsea were never playing at par last season. They just went like from one extreme to another. So yeah, let's find a manager that will help us overperform. Eventually, over time, it might level out, but even leveling out, 8th is underperformance as far as I'm concerned.
Facts. Last question before I let you go out and carry on with this stream. Predictions, score predictions then, man. Just to reiterate it, where you at now with considering everything with the Norwich game?
3-0 Arsenal.
I like it, man. I've said before, 2-1 Arsenal. We go behind half time. We improve it and whatnot, man. So yeah, man, that's where
Cool.
I'm at.
So when I see your live stream, yeah, if you're live streaming, when Arsenal concede, I want you just chill.
I will. I can't guarantee that, bro. But I could try, man. I could try. I mean, you've been spot on so far at the start of the season, so I'm hoping it's like you, really and truly.
Yeah,
I
but
agree
if
with your point as well about what's it about thingy about overperformance and underperformance. I just feel there's too much luxuries, and I feel if there was no propaganda around Arteta, it would have been a lot better. But when you're billed as the next this, that, and the other, people just want to see fragments of such. Not asking you to be Pep Guardiola right now. It's just fragments, man.
Exactly, and we've seen nothing. We've seen no positive signs. You know, I'm not taking West Brom as a positive sign. Fingers crossed, the first positive sign is less than 24 hours away, and we experience and enjoy our first win of the season tomorrow in the league.
Facts, man. Mo, I'm going to let you get out of here while I press on because I know you've got to be somewhere. Obviously, make sure you're following Mo on all his platforms and things, and I'll be dropping my post-match review on his channel tomorrow as well. Hopefully, it's positive, man, but love for that. Good news is you lot have got me for a couple of minutes. I got nothing better to do. I might as well entertain you lot, man. I'll let you get out of here, Mo.
Perfect. Take care, DG. Love chatting to you, man.
Love for doing that, my bro.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Appreciate that. Peace, man. So yeah, Mo's keeping it moving, people. But I love you lot, so I think I'll just carry on. I mean, Mo made some great points. You know, the main one for me is that he basically said it. There's a lot of excuses and luxuries being afforded. You know what it is for me, people? There's no middle ground when it comes to Arsenal. If I'm honest with you, it's like obviously we can all probably say, yeah, Arteta, he needs a bit of time. There's certain problems in the squad. It's not all his fault. But I just feel you either, what's the word? How do I make it? You either over rely on that or you're just onto him. I don't think there's a middle ground, and I'm not being funny, people, but he knew this wasn't, you know, this was Travel Lodge. This wasn't going to the Ritz. You know what it is. You know you need to overperform. You know you might need certain players. In the first period he took over and the first half of the season, I felt sorry for him when he's asking for a centre back. He's having to beg to bring in Marie. I think as time has gone on, I'd implore you lot to all check people. His language has changed. When he first come in, it's not that he was blaming the Kroenkes or directly getting at them and things, but in indirect ways, he used to say, well, I need this, I ain't got this isn't me. And now it's just PR talk. I mean, I get obviously Arteta is working in something in training. He's hardly there with a sangria in the dressing room and just basing off and not doing anything. But at the same time, I don't really like this time business. Like I said when Mo was here, if you've got end of year exams, that doesn't mean F about for the year, and then the last couple of days you start getting your books out and your compasses and you start trying to improve. It's too late then. It means every day you got to be doing a little thing, and I don't think there's any clarity. Now, I don't know, people, whether it's Arteta has clarity in himself, because I think he tries too much and ultimately does too little. I think he reacts too late in games. I think he tries to overcomplicate things. Football is a complicated game, but there's no middle ground. Like, I actually like how, initially he was doing the underdog thing, was thinking about the opposition and then whatever. But it's like he forgets that a boxing match, you can't just win it just ducking and diving. You look at Mayweather, people said his style is boring and whatnot, and it might be, but just because he's got a defensive style, if he didn't hit back and hit a man back in a boxing match, he wouldn't survive, sort of thing. And that's how the Prem is. You've got to move to guys. You've got to have a chance. And just for the fact that we haven't improved in the attacking sense, I've lost belief in Arteta, because that's arguably it is harder to, it's how have you made it harder for us to attack? That is very hard to do. You kind of improved our mentality defensively, but you would have thought attacking is just I think you need better personnel, but really and truly, a lot can be fixed in that attack just from coaching. There's no link up play. When Odegaard, whoever's got the ball, you don't see a man making a run off the last shoulder because he knows his other teammate is going to take this space that's vacated and whatnot. We don't do none of that. Players don't understand each other. Yes, there's injuries, but last season, you had 37 different lineups in 38 games. There's no middle ground. How can right backs and right wingers and centre halves and centre midfielders and a keeper with the rest of the defensive unit, how can they, build? How can they build anything there? And for me, I always say it, the midfield jars me, people, because he was a midfielder. Same way, if he was a centre back and we couldn't defend, what's going on there? If you was a former chef and you're teaching a cookery class and you lot can't cook and things are burning, I'm gonna look at the chef like, what are you on? Let me see that food certificate, because you must have bought that somewhere. You must have bought that in an internet cafe. It can't be legit and things like that. So it's a mad one, but Mo was bang on the money, man. And obviously, hopefully, when Mo brings out his content and I bring out my content tomorrow and the rest of it, hopefully there's something there, man. Man said final question, then last question. Cedric, you got me, man. It's not quite the dream team, but we do what we need to do. Crypto FPL. This current set of players lack the cojones to play for this club. Does it mean we don't have psychologists to mentor the players and prepare them before matches? Mo and DG, please elaborate. I can't lie. One thing I give the club credit for, yeah, it might not transpire on the field, but they do a lot of, you know me, I like to be fair in it. They do a lot with mentality and thinking, and they have had different individuals. You know, I know that for a fact. Even back to when Oxlade was here, Ox talks about it as well. That's there. I think it's gone past that. I think it's a thing where you can do you know, the psychology thing and whatnot, but at some point you need to get your own mental headspace. You need to say, I'm doing this for myself. You know, you can take someone to the water, but you can't help them drink. I just feel that these lot don't have clarity in themselves because they're not. Nobody at this club is dedicated to their profession. I have to assume people are doing the bare minimum. Now, I'm sure players are probably doing extra work after training, but I don't see it. I don't see people who love their profession. I don't want to use Chelsea as an example, but I look at Rudiger. He loves defending. Like, that's your job. Your job, literally, same way you lot's jobs are, you know, whatever you lot do, tradesman, office worker, whatever, you know, no job shaming. I'm just painting a point. We all need to get peas, McDonald's, whatever. His job is a defender. I see someone that likes defending, that wants to keep clean sheets, that's dying for clean sheets. You flip over at us, we've got defenders worried about their hair, and their hair's not even good as well. It's not even looking wavy, you know. We worry about the irrelevant things. People are the bare minimum. For me, I feel like with Arteta, I feel the players subconsciously, they start looking for excuses. Oh, it's not sunny today. There's been a red card. This team is better than us. They start hiding behind this, and I think that's the gaffer as well. Like Mo said, it's like a creche. It's like your mum, my mum, his mum, her mum. They've all paid your summer holiday fees and whatnot to be here. So everybody needs to play. Everybody needs to get fairity and equality. You know, the times I think we need to be harsh, we're not harsh. The times I think we need equality, like what we saw with Pepe, Martinelli marginalized. What the hell was going on with Saliba? We're not. Ultimately, you know, Arteta he's betted on the same God. You know, as I said in the last thingy, you know, one thing that annoys me about the departed players. You haven't, and then it was linked with Galatasaray and whatnot. You never got the vibe we're trying to move on, Nene. Bellerin's gone on loan. You never got the vibe, we want Bellerin to go. He said, you know what, it's my dad's wish to go, Betis. Come, let's do this. William basically said, I don't believe in you man's project. Another one, if you've betted on William and he's ready to snake it and forfeit bare piece, credit to William, there's got to be something there. You betted on Xhaka. When the world wanted Xhaka gone, you rid for him. Now, Xhaka owes you nothing. You didn't have to do that. Xhaka doesn't have to stay at a football club just because you did that. But why was he so keen to snake it? Why was Leno on leaving as well? And for me, you go back, I beg you, all type in, go and look at his press conference, or go and look at my press conference reaction. There was a segment he said about Bellerin, and it rubbed me up the wrong way, people, because he said something along the lines of, you know, Bellerin's what felt like this for a long time. If he's felt like that for a long time, why do you keep playing him ahead of someone like Ainsley Maitland-Niles and whatnot? If he feels like that, what's the other players feeling like? It ain't making sense, is it, people? It's not, man. Get me, Mustafi offered a new contract unnecessarily as well. You know, to be fair, I think Ben White can header Chris, man. He just got done dirty against Ivan Toney. But again, even if he can't header, how are you going to improve, man? Because how many times away from Arteta now, we'll stay with a player for years, you know, like not to do Martial dirty because I like Martial, but he's a perfect example. I'm sure United fans for years, nah, he's going to do the business this year. He's not going to do the business. He's a winger. He's a striker. He's a striker. He's a winger. Arsenal, we love that. You know, what I don't want to see is in a couple of years, we're talking about, yo, has Tavares improved defensively? Is Ben White good enough? What's going on with Ramsdale? What's happening with Odegaard? I don't know, you know, and I just don't get the sense of urgency from Arteta because there's no pressure. Yeah, I know that the club are tying into him long term and that, people, but, you know, football is football, innit? You know, you lot have jobs. I've got a job with you lot. If I don't do the results, we're not getting paid or things are happening. I don't get that vibe from him, because if you have that, you don't pick underperforming players. If you keep giving these man chances and we're not seeing it, there's no pressure. You're choosing to be arrogant, or, you know, I need people, or if there was pressure, I'm going with these players because these players are serious. If it goes wrong, then I have to back it up. But these are the guys I bet on. You know, you don't do think Kolasinac, once again, was not the worst player against City. But what does it send out to you that he's not played? You know, Xhaka's tried to go Italy. He's now the captain. Again, I don't know if it's this deep for the players, but how are they thinking? And when you add them in, you wonder what happened with Guendouzi, what happened with Saliba, what happened with Ozu, who some of his teammates at the time couldn't understand. Pepe, all of these things. When they all add up, the common variable is Arteta. But when they all add up, that's enough for a team to think, you know what, this guy's an idiot. Let's forget all of this, man. A man said there's 2 things consistent with DG: talk straight facts and 4 dislikes he always gets. Bro, Adam, I don't know, man. Must be some baby mums, must be a girl I used to chat to, must just be a hater, must be friends at this moment in time. I don't know what it is, but we keep going, man. Graham has said, you wouldn't drive a city car to climb a mountain. Arteta is the city car and Arsenal is the mountain. Well, I'd say I wouldn't even say a city car, but we're trying to go up there with a bike with no brakes as well. You already know, going up something with no brakes, you're fucked. Pardon my language. Now it's just excuses. I used to like listening to his press conferences when he first came in. Now I don't bother. I hear you and I agree with you. I listen to them for you lot, but at this point, it just feels like a bit of what's the word? How do you put it? It feels like when your intelligence is being insulted, people. It feels like that with Arteta. And with the way Edu was speaking, it's like you're just taking us for idiots, if I'm completely honest with you. You know when you can tell a man or a woman, but a man don't believe in what they're saying. I got the vibe with that with Edu. It's like he come in with some rehearsed things he's gonna say, got a bit of pressure applied, kept saying it. They keep reiterating we've got a young squad. So what? Wenger had young squads. We was getting top 4. We had bare naive, man. You look at the Chelsea team, they're more experienced than us. How old is Reece James? How old is Mason Mount? How old is Kai Havertz? Now, of course, they're all anomalies because they've got significant more experience and they have experience around them. But these players are standing up to be counted, really and truly. Let's be real with ourselves, Let's be real. If we look over at City, there's a couple of players that on ability and quality, there's a gulf, but Ferran Torres can't be much older than a couple of you. Foden's not really been a main player this year. He can't be much older than a couple of you. So I don't understand it really and truly. I feel a bit bewildered, really. Clearly there's things that are bigger than Arteta at the club, but there's no excuses. Arteta never owns up to his mistakes. Do you know what I say, Chris? I think he does, but he never calls a spade a spade. He'll always, I agree with you, in fact, he'll always say, like, it's my fault, but there's been some injuries, COVID, the VAR. He never just accepts it. Like, this is me, boom. I've fucked up, pardon my language. I never hear any of that. Never, ever, ever. I think we need to revert to a 3-5-2 counter-attacking approach against teams in the top half of the table. Arteta never has a plan B and struggles in gameplay, always looks lost. Bro, it's mad. I don't know if I'm preaching facts, but love, my guy. Love for the engagement as well. Make sure we're hitting the like button, people. And love to everyone that's been supporting the content today. It has been quite good. Most of our players are fashionistas, but I don't care if you like fashion, bro. I want these footballers to have other passions because I think you need an escape. I just care about what you're doing in training and subsequently on the match. Nobody would care that, I don't care that Bellerin's vegan, but no one would give a fuck about if he eats a cheeseburger or a plant-based burger from out the park if he was a good ball. If Messi turns around and say I'm vegan, everyone got to turn vegan. It's only relevant when you're not doing your job. I don't care about, well, Joe Willock had some mad dress sense, as does Reece Nelson and all of this, but no one cares if you're doing the business. I just think there's too much excuses, man. Big up Coach Joe Lamy. We're going to be here next week, or he's going to be on my channel next week. That Edu interview was all Arsenal PR doing. Trust me, man. Trust me. And what I would say is they probably took a leaf out of Villa's book. You see, the minute Villa sold Grealish, they told the fans what's going on. With us, it just felt like, oh, you know what? The fans are disillusioned. Edu's moving mad. Arteta's moving mad. No one likes Kroenke. We're crying for clarity. Let's go and give the fans what they want. And in isolation, I hear it. Like I said with the Edu one. I don't like it, but you've not opened yourself up for things. You've been a bit cowardly, as me and Mo said, but you've not said anything like when we knock, it's a different knock. Trust the process. All of these things that might come back to bite you on the arse. But you haven't been committed. For me, as I said at the time when I reviewed it, not saying something is saying something. And it just feels like man are trying to cover their asses, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you. As I said, if a man came out and said, anytime Arsenal's not in the Champions League or in Europe is failure, a club like Arsenal deserves to be challenging for stuff. That's all we need to hear. Now, people would still probably use that against him. But if you say that, fans can sit there and go, all right, cool, we want to go Europe. When you're saying, and he didn't say it like this, but that's all fans are going to see. I don't want to talk about top 4, top 6, top 8, top 10. When you say that, you know what's going to happen, really and truly. It's not making sense. Like my guy Chris has said, smash the like button. It was PR done bad. It still baffles me that Edu says he has no targets. And this is it. In life, you need a target. If you go to the gym and you don't have a target, what are you doing? You don't know if you're trying to get bigger, lose weight. What's happening? Now you might get a better physique, but you don't know what's improved. You don't know if how good your cardio was and now is now. You're just doing things for no reason. There's no goals, you know. If you're trying to save for a house and you say, well, I haven't got a budget in mind, what? You think £10 is going to buy you a yard? Like, you need goals in life. And if you don't have goals, you might still be of a good mentality, but subconsciously, you're going to start underperforming, you know? And that's why I think there's been a laxed approach from everyone, because there's no collective goal. These lot would like to get in Europe. If some variables happen and we stumble across a top 4 position in the season or something like that, I think they'll be happy. I don't think they're dying to get back into top 4. I don't think the players are dying to get this club performing. And I would say, forget the club. I don't think the players are dying to be. See the way when you say Arsenal, hella negative connotations, hella negative things. I don't think they're dying to be mentioned among many things, good things, you know. A player we was linked with, I'm sure you all remember the statement. Remember Maddison, after one game, it might have been Chelsea, they won. He said, I like people talking about me. I want people to talk about me. If I'm doing bad, I know what I need to improve. I want people talking about me. No one says that sort of stuff at Arsenal. Now, if you ain't got the balls for that, don't come out and say it. But no one calls a spade a spade. You might get a 2-2 Leno interview here and there, and he's indirectly saying things. You might get Xhaka feeling himself too much. You might get Maitland-Niles throwing his toys out the pram. You know, you might get the Letizier's claiming there's been something, but I don't know, man. I'd rather eyes too big for belly mentality than what was served to us in that interview. You know, big up Giovanni with the Caribbean connotations. For those who don't know what it is, literally your eyes too big for your belly. You know, as a little kid, I'm sure some of you got youths, you know, your little son or whatever says, can we go McDonald's? Rather than a Happy Meal, he wants a Big Mac meal. He's telling you he's going to yam it. You get it, he can't finish it. Eyes too big for his belly. I hear you with that, but I've seen too much of that. I just feel I wanted a bit of honesty. Right now, just say it's going to be hard. We're trying to get Europe. We need to pattern the squad first. What could fans say? They could hate Edu and Arteta, but what could you say? Most logical fans would just say, you know what? All right, we'll still judge you on that, but we need to keep it moving, you know? It's one of them ones, man. Just hoping the on display isn't boring tomorrow. It's been so tough to watch. Zach, I agree with you, but you see me, yeah? We ain't got a win. I'll take a dirty win. I will take it. You know, I'm not, you know, I'm not saying I'm happy with if the football's on the floor and we're playing poor, but listen, we ain't scored, you know. Some man, if you can't get any girls, you will accept some of you, I'm sure. So I need a win. Of course, I want to have my cake and eat it. I want to play convincing. I want the fans that international fans, some of you wake up at stupid o'clock to watch them games there. I want you lot to be rewarded. All the fans that are departing with their money that they've earned and stay, you know, they could be putting that 90 quid to something for their kids or whatever, who's going to the game or whatever. I want them to be rewarded. But I don't know, man, because I think these players defeat themselves way before the opposition. You know, again, the last 3 games we've played, shout out to all them teams, and not to take anything away from it, but we've shot ourselves in the foot. No, we've bottled it ourselves. Way before we talk about how good Lukaku was, and he was good, take nothing away from him. Marie's fucking about. Tactically, it's naive, you know. Early on in that game, you lot was here on the watch-alongs. We were saying, boy, you know, Reece James getting a lot of space. Lukaku's peeling and linking up with him. Mount starting to go over there. We need to stop that because they're going to score, you know. And then look at what happens, man. If TV channels are blank, would you pay the TV? Would you pay the license fee? If your union doesn't support you, would you pay them? Why do fans continue to fund KSC self-sustaining nearly 20 years without Premier League? I mean, love the ground, innit? I have to do this thing, but there's truth in that. What else have we got? The CEO was fire. Oh man. Hey DG, sorry I've not been on the daytime live, just been at work. No worries, Paul. You ain't gotta apologize for that, but always catch up after and smash the likes. Arteta and Edu try talk the talk, but are not able to walk the walk. I have no faith. For me, bro, you know, under promise and over deliver. It just feels like there's this Mighty Ducks thing, and they always try to do this conspiracy thing. Like, if you're not at the club, you don't see what we're doing. And one thing that is starting to pee me off about Arteta, and I probably have said it in every live stream, he keeps giving me the vibes that anyone that has something not deluded to say is against Arsenal. Like, real Arsenal fans know what we're trying to do. You know, again, I can't remember actually what he said, but go and check out my reaction to the press conference or read it yourself. He says things like that, and it's like, who are you? That is sheer arrogance. Who are you to say that? What are you talking about? You know, just because we're not, I might still trust the process. Someone might. but it doesn't mean that I can't comment on what's happening. I don't like these blind, empty statements without context. And it just feels like with the players with Arteta, he'll lap up all the praise, but man don't want to hear nothing bad, and we can't do that in life. You know, you lot praise me, but I look at the negatives and the better yet the constructives. Oh, DG, you could do this better. Well, you should do this. I wish you done that, this and that. You can't get better without that. It's crazy, man. My manager needs arrogance, but it's misplaced arrogance. I don't know where it comes from, Felipe. I don't, man. Without goals in your life, you will end up getting left behind, like what's happening to our club. And when you hear Edu coming out with his nonsense, you know their ambitions don't match the fans. Arteta is creating an us against them mentality, but with the wrong people. That's it. And, you know, it's everyone versus him. He's doing it the wrong way, man. Would you take transparency over winning? Nah, bro, I can't lie. To a degree, it's going to sound fickle, but transparency don't matter if you're winning. What winning? Because if you win, you're transparent, you know. Nobody gets there just by saying nothing, man. Facts, it's like we're haters if we don't agree, and that's it. Like, why are you trying to beef, man? Like, because when you was winning, man was here like, yo, man, believe in Arteta. He's doing this, he's doing that. You're not doing that no more. So what's going on? You know, any other walk of life, if you're a manager of any other company, when you come in, you're winning pitches, you're making money for your company, you're doing whatever you're doing, you deserve the praise. Likewise, if it's going poorly, you know, and you're losing pitches, you're doing worse since you came in. What's going on? It's one of them ones. And even that, you know, Arteta needs to understand. I don't want to say he set high standards, but there was bare propaganda. You know, for whatever reason, we was doing all right when you first came. There was an FA Cup. You set yourself them standards to die by. Same way Wenger set himself high standard, lost his way a bit. You know, same way when Emre come in. We can all agree with the context, but man, you think of Emre, you missed the Europa League, managed big clubs like PSG. Bro, I don't know where Arteta got the high expectations off of the propaganda prior, but this is it. Man said we should have got CR7 when we had the chance, DG. About 25 years too late, but you had to get them man there when they're about 16, 17. You could never be talking in the last 10 years. Synergy on all levels have been dead. Who cares how potent the venom in the fangs if the snake is segmented? You lot killed me, man. You lot killed me. DG, when Edu said we have no goals this season and just want the players to play together, it's like a kickabout in cage football with your mates. Was in back. Chris, you said it. Facts. Hope your young one's doing well as well, Chris, in your picture. But facts. You know, it's just a matter. This is it. It's just, yeah, we'll go to work, we'll enjoy it, we'll do a couple of kick-ups and go yard. It's like, if you lot want to do that, you lot might as well just become movie stars and whatever and sign up for Soccer Aid, because it feels like that's what we're doing. We're doing this Soccer Aid thing at Arsenal. I said it before, and it's not because these players do things away from the ground or fashion and stuff. It's just the way we behave. It's like the manager, the players, it's like everyone at Arsenal. It's like you're not a footballer first or a manager first. You're just kicking ball. Like kind of what Chris said about cage ball. It's like guys are doing any other thing and they're just coming here for a laugh and a joke. What scoreline would you take on the weekend? Personally, a struggling 1-0 still would be having me looking at Arteta. Chris, it doesn't really matter. Even if we win convincingly, there's still question marks. But like I said, when you ain't got 3 points, I'll take 3 points. I don't care who scores, if it's own goals, you know. Of course, once again, of course, I want to see wavy football. I want to see what we expect to see. But just come the end of my watch along, I hope you're all there. It's in the pin message. Make sure you're following people. You know, we're live from 2:20, I think, tomorrow. Come the end of that live stream, I just want to say, boy, we won in it. We won in it, because sometimes you have to win ugly, you know. Forget the context of Arsenal. 38 games, you can't do that. We haven't done it, but you can't do what we want to see. Sometimes it's just going to have to be a greasy one. You're just going to have to accept it. And like I said, a win's a win in it, so I'll accept it. But of course, I would like to see 3-4 and whatnot. But, you know, I can't really say that when we're playing terrible. Can I, man? So I would take anything. What does Arteta not understand? At this current time, Arsenal don't deserve any praise right now. We deserve all the scrutiny we're getting. And to be honest with you, exactly. Because what did he say last season? I can't remember it, but we need to take all the punches on the chest, or he said some mad shit like that. Pardon my language. So you should have how can you say that and not have the awareness to think maybe these are the punches that I'm accepting right now? Like, I need to go on his transcript, people, man. I need to go on his transcript. I want to find the bit he was talking about the fans, man. It's in my, you know, I did it in the press conference reaction, but I need to find that, man. Sorry, folks, man. I just want to find that really quickly. That's Maitland Niles' chat. I think it needs a little bit perspective of what happened. You know, that's not it. We have a completely different squad. We have to grad to get. That's not it. Well, please, people, I don't think I'm gonna find it, but just watch that video again because I defo spoke about it. There was something he said along the lines of, you know, people can see, you know, if you don't believe in what we're doing, it's mad. Yeah, man, it's something like here. It's like, nah, Robert, you didn't aggravate me, bro. You like ain't aggravated me. The club has, or it's just I'm not even aggravated. It's Friday, bro. This is the last live stream as well for today. I'm good, my guy. I'm just a bit passionate about this football club, and as you all are. Now, if I look at this, people, yeah. First things first. This is another thing where a man said no excuses and then gave out the excuses, but he said, well, 100%, we don't want to give any excuses. We have tried to explain what happened in previous weeks. You can give all the reasons you want, but if someone doesn't want to see it, it's up to them. We tried to explain things. I think we've been pretty clear, probably more clear than ever, to try to explain what the club is trying to do, what we are trying to do. Now it's to try to do the best in the best possible way. While everyone is understanding, but knowing at this club only one thing is acceptable, and that's to be the best. This is what I'm talking about. It's nothing to do with what someone doesn't want to see. What the hell can we see? If you blindfold me and tell me there's Halle Berry in her prime in front of me, what am I going to believe? You man can't see no hourglass figure. What's going on? These are the sort of things that jar me. This is the sort of, oh, if you don't believe us and blindly say the bullshit we say, you're not a real fan or whatever. I'm not a fan of Arteta. I'm a fan of Arsenal. When you was doing the business, I give you the praise. When you're effing about, you get the criticisms. I love Aubameyang, but is he a true captain? He wouldn't be my first choice captain, but I have a tough time speaking about that. Again, it's a results business. But when we was doing poor and Aubameyang is leading it on his own, and he had the contract. Man weren't saying he's not a bad captain. When we was hearing he's good with the young players, we weren't hearing he was a bad captain. Now he's not scoring and we're looking woeful. There's question marks over him. Would he be my first captaincy? Of course not. But I do think he's a good captain. Obviously, I'm with a lot of you, Tierney every day of the week sort of settings, man. Ainsley Maitland-Niles only here for the homegrown quota. He's never getting a game. It seems like they're over-explaining. If someone is confident in themselves, you shouldn't have to explain so much. Exactly. It's an extreme example, but you look at someone like Arsene Wenger. When he said we're going to be invincibles, or we can do it, he never expanded on it too much. He just did his thing. You know, there's a quiet, and that's the sort of quiet arrogance I want to see. You know, when you're trying to explain so much, it comes across as you know you're out of your depth, sort of thing. A good comment, man. Good comment. Mate, it's a madness. One love to everyone here. Just like if we don't think Willian is a good footballer, then we don't know anything about football. Yeah, and then do you know what it was with that jarred me with that? He was there telling us about what he's doing in training and how good he is in training. You can be as good as you like in training. I need people to be good on the football field. Yeah, I hear that. If he's training well, he gets to play. But if you're doing BS on the football field, keep it moving. You know, again, every manager has their favorites, but Arteta don't know how to play the game, man. He doesn't know. Like in the workplace, yeah? We've all been in the workplace where we can't stand someone, but we've got to work with them, or we can't let them know how we feel purely because we've got a collective goal. Like my last job in the office, I'm not going to say her name, but I used to fucking hate this lady, innit? Like I don't know if she liked man or something, but she must have had a hard on, innit? Just always talking nonsense. But sometimes she was good at Excel, innit? I can't do Excel, so I'd play the game. Like, I really don't like you, but listen, we have a collective goal to get together. You know this Excel thing, so let me play on that and get you to help, man. You know, when there comes a point where I can tell you to suck your mum, then of course we do that. But you've got to play the game. You know, I've played Sunday League. Shout out Wrongans and my old team. Everyone else, I've been not with the old team, but I've been cool with everyone in it. How many times, bro? Football players, you don't have to like each other. I'm sure many people don't like each other. As long as you fight for each other, that's all that matters, man. And for me, I'm tired of it, Cam, because there's fighting talk from Arteta, from these players, fighting in the dressing room, fighting all the way back to, you know, Eddie and Ketia and Ceballos fighting each other pre-game. David Luiz and Ceballos are fighting each other. There's always fighting talk everywhere other than the field when you go a goal down, when you're not starting well, when you're not dying to win. Come on, man. I don't even think he picks them how they train. I just think I like you. I like you. You know, you've got a Brazilian restaurant. I don't really want to have to pay, so I'm going to take you. You know, I like you. I like you. I like you. You're going to play. I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like you. So I'm going to put every variable in the way to not let you play. It's crazy, man. It's absolute madness. Absolute madness, bro. Exactly. To be fair, Hazard's an elite talent. Ronaldinho, Hazard, these guys were shit in training. They were shit trainers, elite players. So I hear it. But no one's earned that right. I don't care how good man have trained. William was another Edu signing. To be fair to you, you know, he was, and it's got the same client agent, but we heard Arteta wanted Donny. It's emotions over tactics. It's crazy, man. We're just gonna be here each and every time, and nothing changes in the game but the players, and the players of Wenger, Glizides, Raul Sanye, Mislintat, you know, Edu now, Arteta now. I'm not excusing anyone, but nothing changes but the players, man. You know, the house always wins, and the house is Kroenke, it's corruption. So until something gets done there, we're gonna be saying this week in, week out. And I always, you know, we're at that stage now, people. Oh, I'm getting facial hair now, you know. That's how you know Arsenal are effing about. How many years we been here with a baby face? The baby face is going, so Arsenal need to pattern up. Like it needs to get going, people. It's not pretty. It's you know, we don't respond to adversity. We want everything easy. We expect life to just change just because we want it to. Life don't work like that, man. Do you know what? I'm not going to get on to you to have favorites. Every manager has favorites. It's about being able to put that to the side for the collective. And fundamentally, you know, your favorites are not the good footballers, bro. Like, they're not the good ballers, man. No, well, we get grey hair soon, bro. We're gonna get grey hair soon if this continues, my guy. Trust me, man. I'm saying hit me in my chest. Well, you couldn't take a thump, Arteta. Not the thump that some fans might want to give you. So I might do a snaky thing and hit higher than the chest. But like you said earlier, DG, they're still at the club, so they're not Wenger or Glizides players. They're Arteta's players, and I keep doing this, but just to paint a picture, people, they're his players. You can literally just go on the Arsenal website, look at all these players, and tell me who is not a Wenger, who is Arteta being forced to use. There's none of that anymore. You know, Arteta has been allowed to do a mad thing, people. Look. Fair enough, Okonkwo's not relevant, but just to paint the point, you said he's going to be third choice. He is. You wanted Ramsdale, we heard. You know, Leno, why he's not sold, I don't know if he doesn't want to be here, but you've betted on Leno. You know, obviously, you can't really get on to Ben White. Gabriel's good. 2 players he asked for. Tierney came into the club. Good player, so it's irrelevant. You asked for Tomiyasu, you've got him. Cedric, you gave him a 4-year deal, told us he's the best fullback in the league. Holding was going to Newcastle at a point. You started playing him. You know, the analytical team brought in Tavares. You can't really get onto the new signings. You wanted Marie. You keep playing Marie. You know Marie's not good enough. Other clubs would have probably just sold Callum Chambers. There's never been a better time. You pulled him in. Kolasinac was on loan last year. You chose to start him against City. We haven't been able to move him on. You asked for Odegaard. Shout out to the little Chile. Shout out to Partey. You finally used Smith Rowe. You keep fucking about with Ainsley. One love to Lokonga. You wanted to keep Xhaka. You used El Nene 30, 40 times last season and probably will this year. You froze out Pepe. He have improved his game, to be fair. You chose not to use Martinelli. You chose to keep Eddie and Nketiah. You chose to promote Balogun this year. Lacazette and Aubameyang, you're choosing to use them. You know, all the players that are gone are players he didn't want to use. Runnison, you chose to bring him in. All of you lot did. He's shit. He's not here. Bellerin, we heard he wanted to leave for a long time. So you chose to keep a man that didn't want to be here for a long time. You've now chosen him to go. You've chosen to loan out Saliba. Guendouzi, Torreira, Mavropanos, Nelson, they've all gone. This is his squad. Just because he might not have signed them doesn't mean they're not his players. You know, and you can't. And what I hate about that language, you know, when you look at someone like Xhaka who has a bad game or El Nene, man starts sitting there and saying he's not their players. But when Aubameyang's on form, when Pepe is saving his bacon on the last day of the season, when Smith Rowe, who it took him to actually play Willian and Lacazette in the first team in that role before him, no one is saying that. You know, no one is saying that for Tierney saving his bacon. It's not his signing and all that tosh. No one is saying that. So it's not, you can't have your cake and eat it. It's not making sense for me, man. Well, Henry's a dud as well as a manager, man. Love the player, but he's a dud, man. Man said, think about November. Many of the squad are still Wenger signings. Bro, it don't run no more. That thing don't run no more. These are his guys. You can't say they're not his signings. They're not his guys. He's chosen to build it there, you know. He has chosen that. He chose to build his foundations on Leno and alienate Martinez. He chose these things. Bro, it's a myth. He's run out of excuses. He needs to deliver. I'll never get why he didn't go for Aouar. I think if the results don't go his way, he would have sealed his own fate. Can't look at Marie in the face after a man with size 17 cinder blocks patted him up. But hey, it's there's no excuses, man. Like, there's always extremes, man. There are luxuries we can give you, but this man just looked at like the players on the field with some of their better teammates and people that get scapegoated. People just hide, man. There's not a single brave heart in this connected with the club. Everything is just cowardly, and they just hide behind the prestige of this club, what it used to be, and all of these things, man. It's crazy. Pure excuses with such comment. Trust me, man. It's cop-outs. I value people that can call a spade, man. But anyways, people, I can't lie. It's been a fantastic hour and 20 minutes. Obviously, I've continued it. We started off initially with Moh. I'm pretty sure there's a bag of other content to come out from me shortly, so take that in. Like I said, people, check the pinned message. Obviously, it's Arsenal versus Norwich tomorrow, and we'll be doing a watch-along. Make sure you've set your reminders. If you're not going to be there, hit the like button. We've got 8 likes so far. Every like patterns up the engagement. So, yeah, man, it's always fantastic having you lot here with me, but let's not ruin any more of our Friday. Let's go and chill off, man, really and truly, to be fair with you. And hopefully tomorrow is crazy. And I mean, provided I can get a ticket, but I might eat a little rave tomorrow. So it might all be a win for me if I'm completely honest with you guys, people. But on that note, I hope everyone's had a good week. I hope everyone's got their health and things and their loved ones. And I'll catch you lot in a bit, people. I'm out.
So it's always just that active and that defending. I think it's like